David Niethe. By definition, I'm a mental performance coach. I get a real kick out of inspiring people to become the best version of themselves.
What do you think's the biggest prohibitor or the number one thing that stops people from reaching their full potential?
You are the most magnificent project you'll ever work. It's about being bloody honest with yourself, right? So the first thing for me was the bullying. You know, I can handle the bash, but I couldn't handle the fact that I was weak. That put me on a path to go, I'm going to be the biggest, strongest people I can be. By 25, I'm 167 kgs, competing in New Zealand's strongest man competition. And I remember school cert English exam. I remember writing my name and putting the pen down. I just gave up. My kids had grown up, I had time. I signed up for university. My first essay, I got this email going, your paper has been marked. I got a B-. It was the first time I actually burst into tears. Pain means new life. It sparks you.
I think a lot of New Zealanders struggle to dream big. I don't know how you feel on that.
Well, here's what I think. Shut the f*** up and let's think about this.
If I could have one moment of your time. Most of you guys listening or watching do not subscribe to the channel. The simple and easiest way to help and support us is to subscribe. It helps us get the guests that you guys want, and it gives us a more opportunity to grow this thing to where we want to take it. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode. Kia ora.
David Niethe, welcome to the show, brother.
Fuck, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for the invite, man.
No, well, I think it's probably the most, excited I've been for a guest, and that's just not me trying to blow smoke up your ass. I think it's because...
Well, I gave you $20. So yeah, fucking hell, what my money's worth, mate. Keep going.
Yeah, well, actually, it's probably because of what you do.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll start there. If you had to describe what it is that you do, how would you describe it?
By definition, I'm a mental performance coach. I think what it is I get a real kick out of inspiring people to ask better quality questions to get more out of themselves, to become the best version of themselves. Yeah. And that possibly will never be fully actualized because you run out of time. But Sartre said, you know, we talked about existence precedes essence. And so we're thrown into this world. He's a wonderful existentialist, a French philosopher. And we're thrown into this world and we don't get to choose our circumstances. We don't get to choose our parents. We don't get to choose whether we're rich, poor, or otherwise. But whether we like it or not, we have to make something of our life. And when you realize that your life, you as an individual, is the most magnificent project you'll ever work on, you never, it puts you on a path of curiosity like a kid. Kids are mesmerizing. They're always, you know, and as you go through life, we get conditioned to work and we go, what's the point? And we look forward to the weekend. There's more to that, you know? So for me, when I look at it through that lens, I'm really proud of what I'm becoming. And I think that's the important thing here. It's not about being, it's about becoming.
Wow.
And so it's that continuation of becoming a better version of yourself. You wake up with a level of purpose, not to just exist.
Do you think you've always possessed that mindset as well?
I think it's one of those redundant questions in the sense that whether I did or did, I don't really know. I couldn't tell you. I think it was a couple of things that over a period of time certainly inspired me. I think one of the first things, and for a lot of parents out there that have got really young kids, there was a book given to me at the Priest at Wesley College when I went. And I was, I was a skinny little plungy fucking kid. And I remember my dorm prefect, Steve Tungavai, was like 125 kgs. And I was like 62. You know what I mean? Far out, man. You sneeze and you blow me across the, and so I remember, I was a lot of bullying, and I remember being scared a lot and anxious. But the priest gave me a book called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Far out, man, that book. I read this book over and over. It was in the library, and I used to go and get it out all the time, read it over and over, because somehow I could relate to this Jonathan. And that sparked something in me. And I think there was some other things. I had some wonderful people in my life, supportive parents. But I had my Uncle John and my granddad were my heroes. Their photos sit in my office, and I look at them every day. And, you realize just how blessed we are in this modern world. You and I are not having to fix bayonets to go over the top at the whistle, to walk towards machine gun fire. So I'm very much the historian. I love the history of war, but I think what it does is that it sends a foundation of a sense of responsibility out of respect for the men and women that gave their lives for our freedom. We have a responsibility to be the best we can be and all we can be. Now, if everyone applied that to their life, I think this world would be a better place, man.
A word that comes to my mind with what you do and wanting other people to become the best versions of themselves is potential, to reach and fulfill their potential. What do you think's the biggest prohibitor or the number one thing that stops people from reaching their full potential?
It's about asking yourself the right questions. It's sort of starting with a sense of responsibility. And like I said earlier, you are the most magnificent project you'll ever work on. When you really acknowledge that, then there's a call to action. And through the lens of curiosity, it's investigating, right? So for me, one of the great psychologist Carl Jung said, "Where fear lies, there lies your task." So for me as a project, it's about being bloody honest with yourself, right? So the first thing for me was, it was the bullying. And for me, it wasn't so much the hidings that pissed me off, it was the fact that I was giving my power away. I was, I could handle the bash, but I couldn't handle the fact that I was weak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what pissed me off. And so for me, that put me on a path to go, well, what's the promise you're going to make to yourself? And I made a promise. I'm going to be the biggest, strongest motherfucker I can be. And that then establishes a sense of conviction to a vision. So I had this vision in my mind that I was going to be the strongest motherfucker I can be. Now that becomes your project. Now from the age of 15, by 25, I'm 167 kgs competing in New Zealand's Strongest Man competition. That was my dream, right? And you've got to dare to dream big, right? So none of this, I'm going to be committed at the gym. What drives that is your fucking why, right? And it was outrageous. So I talk about goal setting. I said the most important thing is I want you to be realistic with the process, but unrealistic with your vision, right? So that was the vision. And mate, I worked my ass off. You've got to work your ass off. And this, you've got to understand this too. Just because you're intended doesn't mean to say you're going to get it. There's no fucking guarantees in life. But you still have to take responsibility for the action, right? So I am absolutely obsessive with my behavior. The boys used to call me Staffy. Because when I sink my teeth into something, I wouldn't let go, mate, right? I fucking hate losing. I fucking hate it with a passion. Now, did I win New Zealand's Strongest Man? No, I think I placed 5th. But I'm proud to say at one point I was leading the New Zealand Strongest Man. But in of itself, when you look at that transformation of 10 years of dedicated hard work, I had overcome something. That's what it does for your belief is powerful. Right. So that was part 1, because there was 3 key transitions that I went through.
Welcome to the Martin Show First Ad Break. For anyone who is wanting to go on a new journey, learn a new skill, we have started our basic beginners boxing fundamentals course. For anyone, if it's your first time, if you're a seasoned member, this is the course for you in the boxing space or fitness space. Click the link below or go to onlineboxingtraining.com and I'll see you guys there. Let's get some mahi, eh?
The second was public speaking. Now, my academic record at Wesley, and I wasn't diagnosed as being dyslexic till after I left school. I was about 20. And I remember school cert English exam. For those viewers out there that are old, you'll know what school C was. I remember writing my name and putting the pen down because I thought, what's the fucking point? I'm going to fail anyway. So fuck it. So as soon as I was allowed to go, I fucked off. I remember walking out after half an hour, whatever it was, and my mates are looking at me going, what the fuck, bro? This is a fucking 2-hour exam. You can't have, I just gave up. Do you know what I mean? Now that in itself, like I said, going back to Carl, where fear lies, there lies your task. So academia and public speaking. So first things first, I put myself in a position where I had to start doing talks. And to this day, the biggest influence on my life, there was a couple of people, but without a doubt, my biggest was my wife, who's so fucking brilliantly supportive. She's the one behind the scenes. So I got an opportunity to talk in Vegas. We're talking Stardust Hotel, which is now gone. And there would have been about 5,000 people. I'm used to like small crowds of 10. I am shitting myself. And I remember I got to the point that I was making all these fucking excuses. And then I'm in desperation now. I'm on the back of the stage about to go on. Fuck, I've had about 8 fucking nervous pisses, peas. My wife doesn't like me saying peas. And I said to her, look, I've sweated through my top. I can't do this. And she said, oh, here's another shirt. She made me put on the shirt, went out on stage, right? Now, here's the significant thing. My idol back in those days was a guy called Jim Rohn, who was the speaker that night. So I'm in the morning doing a little talk. That night, Jim Rohn spoke. Oh, mate, the guy, if you want a motivational speaker and life advice, he was the man, right? Now, that night, I'm sitting in dinner with my wife and my mate, Dazza, and this hand goes on my shoulder, and I look up, and it's Jim Rohn. And he said to me, I listened to your talk today, young fella. You have a promising future. Now, that was significant because you got to appreciate this. One of the most important things that people need is to be simply affirmed and acknowledged. That acknowledgement spurred me on to go harder and harder into academia, where after doing my master's in neurolinguistics and timeline therapy and a multitude of different coaching courses, and the first, and we're going back to those mentors, a wonderful man called Clive Litton, such a significant influence on my life. He was my first ever coach and one of the most incredible men I think for us guys, we need good men in our lives, mate. A wonderful man. And so you go on this journey, and eventually I got to a point where my kids had grown up. I had time, and I went back to you. I never went in the first. I'm at university, and I'm finishing. Because the last thing to do was academia. So I had bullying, strongest motherfucker on the planet. That was a goal. Second was public speaking. Mate, I love speaking now, no problem at all. And the last was academia. And I'm just about finished my 2 degrees in philosophy and psychology. Now, here's the interesting thing. It's about overcoming. Like, go back to where fear lies, right? So I remember I signed up for university. Now, I'm shitting myself, right? Because you can imagine my track record was F for fuck off, Dave, right? So I remember my first essay I had ever written for philosophy, and I submitted it. And then you get this little email, and I'm sitting in the kitchen. It was at night, and I got this email going, your paper has been marked. Now, in the kitchen, my wife can look into my office at night, and you can see the lights. And so I just said, just go and check some emails. Now, I've been a tough nut most of my life, mate, right? Through conditioning, right? Because I had to fucking harden up, right? So I'm in the office and I look at this email, and then suddenly you go through and check your mark, and I got a B-. Now, I've never had a B- in my life because I've failed everything. It was the first time I actually burst into tears because it just meant, it was almost the final frontier, right, to overcome that. Yeah. And I started this when I was 50, right? So I'm 56. So by June next year, it'll all be finished. And my wife never sees me cry. I'm the stoic motherfucker at funerals and, and she thought, what the fuck? She comes running in and I went, I got a B-. Now, in my little, I talk about affirmations in the book. I have an affirmation on my computer and it says A+ is most like me. I have been averaging A's in my essays for philosophy. And I work fucking hard. I fucking study. Like my wife will tell you, 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning, I'm in the office reading and working because I want this so bad. Now, being dyslexic, it's a little challenge, but here's the other thing. I appreciate the advice of understanding potentially the limitations that I have in such a way that I can deploy strategies to maximize my potential. But one thing I will not allow myself to be is labeled by dyslexia. Fucking labels. That, because it just becomes a fucking excuse. And too many people are, well, I'm ADHD, I'm dyslexic, I've got fucking, fuck that. Learn from it, but don't allow a label to define you.
You've even got something in the book, which is bed and awe.
Blame, excuse, and denial. Are you above the line or below the line? Because 5% of the population are above the line. They take ownership. They are accountable, and they take responsibility. As I said, you are the most incredible project you'll ever work on. And I think fundamentally, people are fucking lazy.
Yeah, I also think it's direction. Like you knew where you wanted to go. I think a massive thing, particularly for younger individuals here in New Zealand, is they lack direction. They don't really know where. It might not even be where they want to go, but they don't even know. Hard work is It's required, regardless.
It's not negotiable.
It's a
It is
non-negotiable.
an absolute requirement.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing, and I think this is where we've got to be very careful because we're very quick, and it's a fucking real grey area, right? So sociological, economic status, we know that has some level of influence. But I think we've got to be very careful that we don't allow that to become our fucking excuse, right? Now, there are people that have come from shit. I've got stories. I won't go into great detail because it's inappropriate in this context, that have come from absolute shit. Now, I'll tell you something. I believe that and again, it could be debatable, but I believe one of the biggest gifts we have as human beings is we have consciousness, and with that comes free will. And I think there are people that have come from shit that have changed their fucking lives. You know, a good mate of mine, Dave Butterbean.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been through shit.
Yeah.
No fucking excuse though, eh? Right? Listen, some of us are born into wealth. It's all hunky fucking. But the reality is, whether you can sit there and go, it's not fucking fair that. The fucking reality is this is your fucking reality. And you now have to appreciate this. You are the director and the producer of your own fucking movie. Now, you can create something, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you become a billionaire, but you become better than and have the ability through choices and hard work and tenacity to have a better life. Here's the thing. It was interesting. We were cleaning out the cupboards, and my wife found an old wage slip. So when I left school with no qualifications, I went into printing. The old man was a printer. He had a mate who's a fucking manager. He'd give me a fucking apprenticeship. Fuck. On my Myers-Briggs personality profile, what I'm doing now is exactly what the profile says you should be doing. On the top of the fucking list of things I shouldn't be doing was fucking engineering and printing. So we found this, it was $7. $7 an hour. Wow. Big money. Massive. Change your life. For me, and I'm not doing this to showcase or blow smoke up my own ass. But my biggest invoice for an hour is 10 grand. I'm nothing exceptional, mate. You know, I'm an average fucking Kiwi bloke who I would say I'm not a great student. I'm not the most intelligent guy. But I'm fucking proud. We were reflecting when I first started this business, and I knew I had to get out of printing. I fucking hated it with a passion. And I think that's great. That was the gift, was the pain, right?
Wow.
Fucking hated it. Pain means new life. It sparks you. Now, people fucking settle for a life less than the one they deserve. So for me, you know, I started, actually it was Jim Rohn who said 3 steps to greatness. Number 1, set goals. Number 2, educate yourself. And 3, have a financial plan. And that's so important. Now, each in a sequential process, start with setting goals. And the key to supporting that is education. You know, and that in, you know, an investigated life is a life lived. So you start investigating what it is that you're passionate about, that you want. And people go, oh, you know, you start with this big vision, this pipe dreams. And I said, well, what's the fucking alternative? Settle for what you've fucking got now? Fuck that. In fact, I remember walking up corridors of Comprint where I was working. And the manager caught me and he goes, Dave, what's this bullshit about you doing this mental performance stuff? Mate, you only just managed to pass your apprenticeship. And he was right. I got 51% to pass. Right? And that fucking hurt because the underlying thing here was, you're not that smart, mate. You're not good enough for that. You're out of your league. Now, I'm also very much a fan of Machiavelli. And I believe success is the best revenge. And I remember proving that fucker wrong. Now here's the story. I remember that little moment. And years later, that guy was a fan of golf. New Zealand Open up at Gulf Harbour. I'm sitting there with Lydia Cecilia, Michael Hendry, and whoever the winners were. And I see him in the crowd coming over. And I get up to intercept him. And he goes, oh, Dave, fuck, well done, mate. You know, you're doing really well. Hey, is there any chance you can get me to get an interview and an autograph?
Yeah.
And I'm shaking his hand. And I squeezing it harder and harder. And I said, do you remember what you said to me in the corridor? And he went fucking white too. And I said, Dave, and I told him. And all I remember was he fucking remembered. And then I said 2 magic words. Fuck off. Fuck off. You weren't there in my fucking hard times. Don't expect to fucking be there when I'm fucking enjoying my glory, man. Wow. The only fucking people that I respect for that were the ones that supported me through the fucking hard times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a fucking great feeling.
Yeah.
Now people go, well, I don't know, it's not sustainable. Fuck off, it felt good at the moment, right? And it drives you. Remember, everything in life, you've got to reframe it to serve you. So you're going to get people that are positive. Take that in as wonderful energy and use it. And those that don't believe, the Martin Show, come on. Fuck them.
Wow.
Hey,
yeah.
You fucking use that as fuel. So everything in life is reframed to serve you. I love it when people go, oh, fuck, you know, you're not that, you're this, you're not. Fuck you.
But I don't feel like we have a lot of that energy here in New Zealand. I think a lot of New Zealanders struggle to dream big. I don't know how you feel on that.
Well, here's what I think. And again, part of our problem is that consistent narrative. Fuck. This is where, shut the fuck up and let's think about this. Give yourself permission to fucking dream big. Then methodically, step by step, put the plan together.
Is there like an area where self-belief, you know, you can have all the self-belief and you're a big believer on confidence and self-belief. You need that. When does it start getting into, or does it get into the idea of becoming delusional?
I think the underlying thing there is that's another fucking cop-out. Oh, you're fucking delusional. Was I delusional in the fucking corridor? Fucking A, I was. And so I would say if you're delusional, then possibly you're on the right track. Because what's the alternative? Settle for a life less? And look, think about this. How many times you've got your little nephews, your little 7-year-old, and you ask, what are you going to be? Oh, I'm going to be Prime Minister and astronaut. I'll have this all done by 25 and then I'll be a billionaire. They got... So let's unpack this a little bit. One of my favorite philosophers is Friedrich Nietzsche. I love his philosophy, especially his concept of the Übermensch, right? So I'm a very staunch existentialist, right? Although Nietzsche, by definition, was an existentialist, he sort of sparked the pathway for investigation into that. And so he talked about 3 transitions. The first transition, or the first part of the transition, is society is subservient to the dragon. And so the first image he has in mind is the camel. The camel says yes to the dragon. It says yes and it carries heavy load. It's prepared to work hard, but it's subservient to society's rules and laws. The next transition is the lion. And the lion says no to the dragon and starts on a path to discover and develop its own values and goals. And that in of itself is a very important transition. But the last transition is the most surprising. And Nietzsche talked about being that of a child. A child sees the world as wonderful, curious. Do you know, they haven't been sensitized by years of society's dictatorship. A kid is free. To live a life with a childlike curiosity. What a beautiful way to live life, right?
I feel like there'll be many individuals listening that will probably think of themselves being in the state of the lion.
Yeah. And most will be probably more the camel.
I agree with that. But for them, they may think they don't listen to society or whatever.
Yeah.
How would you advise someone to move from the lion to the child?
If you're truly committed to that process, I think in of itself, it will manifest in its own time. To trust it.
Yeah.
You know, I can't tell you that because you're doing this, that you'll have this on this date. It will manifest itself in a timely manner. I went to university at 50. Now, I could have possibly gone earlier, but it didn't seem right at the time. And I wasn't really investigating that. And then as, I've settled the business, my children have grown up, and I've got this time that I wanted. I think a couple of key things. I went and did Strongman, and I didn't quite finish that project because of responsibilities with being a dad, a family man, and building this business. And that was, but there was a bit of conflict there because I wanted to do both. But, something's got to give, right? So, I built the business, and it was always there that I would entertain something. But I think over that period of time, I'd grown more and more confident within myself. And again, I love the idea of challenging myself. So in my 40s, I went back to powerlifting because it was unfinished business. Now, I didn't have the mobility to fucking pull trucks and but I still love the iron. I fucking love the gym, mate, with a passion. It's been a part of my life since I was 15. So I went back into the powerlifting, and here I am in the open powerlifting website. If you go into my age group and weight class for the push-pull of all-time records, at one point I was 8th in the world. Now I'm down to 12th. But I've been retired for a decade now. But I'm still ranked. I'm still ranked. And for me, here I was almost 50, and I'm benching 182.5 kgs. Now that fucking, I get excited about pushing fucking limits, right? So like I said, when you start investigating and designing your life, it gives you a sense of purpose. Now, do I like to chill out? Mate, I come home from training. My wife's wonderful. I'll have a meal. I'll have a shower. I'll sit in my lazy boy. I'll put on a lecture. And sure enough, the lecture's going, and there's Dave snoring away with his little 40-minute snooze, right? I like time out, But most of the time, I love my books. Again, where fear lies, there lies your task, right? So I have a wonderful place called Lamplight Books in Parnell. I don't know how much I've spent with the wonderful ladies there. They are brilliant in looking after me. But I have an obsession with reading that I never had when I was 13. So, like I said, I didn't like the label of being dyslexic. So I read, and there was 2 reasons why I read. One is because it's hard. The task itself can be challenging. The other thing, though, that's really important, and this is why we should be reading more books, is that it trains the brain to pay attention for a time frame. Because I'll guarantee you, most of us read a book, and before we know it, we're thinking about something else, and there's just ink on a paper.
Wow.
Yeah. So you've got to train the brain to pay attention. So I think reading in of itself is twofold. One is that it gives you wonderful, rich information, but it also helps you train the brain to pay attention.
Yeah, you mentioned attention there, and one of the things in the book that you're big on is alignment.
Yeah.
Aligning intention with attention.
With attention.
Yeah.
And when they align, it affects behavior.
Yeah, wow. Where do most people go wrong with that?
First and foremost, we've got to get clear on intentions. So again, dream big. Always work with the end in mind. You may never fully actualize that, but it's your task, right? So you set the intention on what you want. Then you pay attention, and this is where you can use a bit of divide and conquer. Break it down. Like, my week is organized. I want to get the most important resource in life is time. Time fucking is the money comes and goes. Time. And so I want to extract and squeeze as much of that time as possible. Because it's, like I said, it's the most important resource. So I design my life into the micro, into daily tasks. Now, I don't get to a point where I have a task list every fucking day. I don't need to, because it's habitual. I get into the habit. So I design my life like this. I start work at 10. The wonderful thing about my life, and again, we talk about stress, right? Everyone's stressed. The one thing that I love about my life is for the last 30 plus years, I have never had to be woken up by an alarm. I wake up when I wake up. Now, generally, I wake up, it's about 6 a.m. because I get to bed by 9:30, I'm an old bugger, right? But I don't get any stress from beep, 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 beep. Oh, what a terrible way to start your life. Now, I was that person years ago because I'm on shift. I love waking up when I wake up. There's no stress. Then I have time, shit, shave and shower. Breakfast with my wife. We talk about things. Then I'm in the office by about 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'll do some emails. I'll do a lecture. I'll read. I'll work on an essay that I'm working on. Then at 10 o'clock, I'm into my day. Yeah, I've designed my life. Now, people could easily have said to me years ago, oh, it's just fucking outrageous. You're deluded. Now, I could have brought into that and had someone else who is imposing their own limitations, the dragon, on me going, you're fucking deluded. So I would say to those that are, when people say, is there delusion? I would rather you were fucking deluded than fucking not.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, look, there is delusion to the point where you're going, hey, listen, I want to tame a dragon and ride it. I mean, fuck that, you're mentally fucking nuts, right?
Yeah.
But if you said, look, I want to be a doctor. Well, mate, you haven't even got school C. Mate, you go for it. You fucking go for it. Because here's what I would say. Even if you fall short of it, the journey in of itself with the commitment and the behavior will most likely contribute something rich to your life regardless if you actualize it or not, because you may open other doors into a better life.
Did environment help you in those earlier stages when you started to design the life that you wanted?
Yeah, I think it was, I think for me, I was just a very headstrong, tenacious motherfucker. I still remember training, and I couldn't afford to go to a gym. And the guy at the printing place had some weights that he was getting rid of, and I gave him a bit of cash. And so it would sit in the boot of my car. And I remember I had a whole lot of mates. There's the back of fucking jury, all on the piss, smoking a bit of dack. And I'm in the back there fucking training. And they're going, fuck, bro, hurry up, man. Come and get on the piss. I go, no, just I'm training and I don't want any piss. Oh, fucking come on, man. And then I said, fuck off, man. He go, well, what the fuck? What are you going to fucking do with all that shit? I said, it was in that moment. I would have been 16. It spurted out, and I'm listening to myself say the words, one day I'm the strongest man in the country. Now, those fuckers just cracked up laughing, mate. Like cans of shit coming. Fucking hell, Niethe, you're full of shit. You fucking deluded motherfucker, man. Fuck off, right? 10 years later, one of those guys had given me shit. 10 years later, TV3, New Zealand's Strongest Man. And I think it was Married TV as well. And I did it. And that night, I remember one of the boys phoning me. I haven't talked to him in 10 years. He goes, oh, bro, I remember in jury, you were training in the car. Fuck, I just saw you on TV, man. Fuck, congratulations, bro. And I said, thanks, bro. Then I hung up. I don't want to fucking talk to you, motherfucker. I don't want contaminators in my life. You know what I mean?
Success is the greatest revenge.
Fucking A, man.
Yet again.
You get to a point, like I said, you reframe things to serve you. Now, I don't need that. I don't get that. My buzz now, when we first started and I shared that message from that young fella.
Yeah.
I read your book, Dave, and fuck, bro. That is the only true way to wealth is to help others get what they want. It's so fucking fulfilling. It's interesting when you live a life that's congruent, when you align your intentions and attentions to the vision. Here's something else that's interesting. In 30 years of coaching, I've only had 2 days off sick. How many employees out there or business owners have employees that take 5 days every fucking year? I think of that movie Predator. Remember with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Yeah. And the guys are in there, and there's a line where the guy says, hey, you're bleeding. And the guy goes, I ain't got time to bleed. I ain't got time to bleed. I ain't got time to be a victim, motherfucker.
Yeah.
There's too much to be done. And what drives that behavior is curiosity, actualization, vision, goals.
Do you feel like you have any limiting beliefs on yourself now?
Not really. And if I did, I would certainly investigate it. But I think I've pretty much conquered everything. I feel very confident within myself. I have an undoubtable belief in myself. And I mean, this is what I preach in the book. I'm very confident within myself. But I'm also smart enough to know that I have limitations. Now, again, Socrates said this. Everyone said, Socrates, you're the smartest man in Greece, in Athens. And Socrates, I'm going to test this. And so he would go and talk to all the intellectuals around Athens. And then he realized he did. He was the smartest man. And he knew he was the smartest man because he knew he didn't know. I know what I know, and I am aware of what I don't know, and I don't pretend to know what I don't know. Again, back that up with a great philosopher, Clint Eastwood. Man's got to know his limitations. So, I think I'm incredibly proud of what I've created. And I'm also very excited about the continuation of that. I mean, my next task that I'm looking forward to is my wife and I for our 60th. We're going to go and spend 5 months traveling around Europe. Wow. We're mapping out. I want to go to certain places. I mean, obviously Athens. Actually, the birth of philosophy is in Western Turkey, because that was originally Greece back in the days. Wow. Zeno and a couple of the original Heraclitus and a few of the others were operating from there. I want to go and visit those places. But I also want to go, there's a rock in I think it's in Switzerland, that Nietzsche went, and that was where he started coming up with the concept of the Übermensch, and the book Thus Spoke Zarathustra was first sort of designed, so to speak. I want to go to England. I want to see my family in Wales and Scotland, and
so much more to learn.
There's so much history, man. Fuck. And like I said, there's so much richness in this world.
Yeah.
It's not, I fucking hate all this doom and gloom bullshit, man.
I think for a lot of people, they don't even realize, or they don't even know what hinders them. Yeah. What stops them from reaching their full potential. If we go back to the first thing.
Ultimately, though, first and foremost, you got to appreciate that you are the creator of your future. You've got to step up and take some responsibility, right? Yeah. And it can be scary. If the old saying, if you want to walk on water, first you got to step out of the boat. You got to have some fucking courage. I'm so proud of myself for having the courage. I could have easily have got excited about maybe being a head machinist on a printing machine. Fuck that. I remember back in the day, I used to get excited about overtime. How fucked up is that? Like, oh my God, I did a fucking 70-hour week. Ooh, time and a half. Oh, fuck that.
Yeah. What about like standards? You're a man that has always had high standards for yourself.
Yeah.
And I view that, for me, it's a blessing and a curse. I feel like it's a blessing because you're always wanting more.
Yep.
And you're never satisfied. But the curse of that is because you're never satisfied, it's hard to enjoy things.
You could reframe that.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
My question of that is, how have you navigated being content with what you have as well as having the desire for more?
It's about being proud of the present. I love being present, right? But I talk about this. When you were a kid, most of the time I would say your mum's fucking, for God's sake, hurry up, you got school. Get out of bed, come on. Christmas morning, you were bouncing on her fucking bed at 5 o'clock in the morning going, oh my God, Santa's, your fucking presents. Right?
Yeah. Even still at 26.
Yeah. Fucking A, bro. Like, what are we going to get? Yeah. Ironically, all I want for Christmas is macaroni pudding.
Yeah, well.
I don't need. See, I don't give a fuck about material things. You know, I mean, I have a nice home, I have a nice car, I have nice things, but I have $7 tracksuit pants for the gym, bro. You know, a fucking $7 warehouse fucking. I don't give a fuck about Lycra and all that fancy shit. I don't give a fuck. I would rather put that money into my education, into investments. You know, I drink really. I don't spend shit. You know, I'm not interested in fucking keeping up with the Joneses. I don't give a fuck. So going back to what we were talking about earlier, there's a sense of excitement every day in the continuation of the becoming.
Wow. That's powerful.
I don't get anxious about it. I'm present in the moment. I design my life, and I know I've got the habits that over a continued period of time, I know I'm on the right track. And it's so reassuring to know I'm on the right track. Yeah. Because I've taken responsibility to do what I need to do today.
Ooh. You've worked with the likes of Israel Adesanya, Lydia Ko. You can name so many of them.
Yeah.
What do you think is the separator between like the great from good and the good from the average?
I think one of the concepts that we talk about today is, you know, you're going to have work-life balance. Fuck balance. You need to be an obsessed motherfucker. You know, anyone who has ever achieved anything of any significance has had an outrageous dream. They have had an obsession. They are prepared to outwork every motherfucker. Lydia Ko, if I was to break it down into the essence of her becoming one of the greatest golfers in golf history, I would put it down to 5 words. You ready? Her mother would take her to the range, and it's dark, and it's cold, and it's windy. Her mum's cold. She's tired, and she still has to get home and cook fucking dinner. And Lydia's just hit a golf ball, the 1002nd golf ball for that day. And Mum goes, Lydia, let's go. We're going to go home now. And Lydia would say, can I just hit one more ball? Think about that. You take that, can I just hit? She was cold. She was tired. But she's prepared to hit one more ball. And when she'd hit that ball, what do you think she'd ask? Can I just hit one more ball? So, you know, you get what you fucking deserve in life. You know, so a part of it, what you think about this, and I talk about this in the book, is mind your language. You know, even a couple of things that you've said, you've probably gone, fuck, yeah, I've got to reframe how I think about that.
Absolutely.
You know, when you start to acknowledge and challenge some of the syntax of your language, because, you know, the brain pays attention and then it finds evidence to prove it. It's hard. I make excuses. Fuck that. Now, I'm not saying I'm fucking perfect. I mean, I am obviously model material. But fuck, mate, you know. But I would say the majority of the time, you know, and I really work hard on being congruent every single day. That's really important.
What are your thoughts on the ego? You speak a lot of it in the book about the alter ego.
Yeah, the alter. So let me expand on that. So, Nietzsche, and it was slightly in a different context. What Nietzsche talked about with the Übermensch was, he said something that, some people agree and some people don't disagree. But he basically said, God is dead and we've killed him. And this was in the sense that Europe was going through a real transition, and we became more empirical and scientific. And there was a surge towards the science, and theology was dying. And he said, God is dead and we've killed him. Now, what that created to a certain point was a sense of stress for people, because now they had to take responsibility. Right. Now, not everyone's a fan of Nietzsche, okay? So I get that. But ultimately that stress could lead to nihilism. What's the fucking point of life? Might as well fucking die, right? But Nietzsche said there's an alternative. And the alternative is to become the Superman, the Übermensch, to design your own life, to design and create your own values. And those values are important in taking responsibility to be something more than what you were, right?
Yeah.
I find that just empowering.
Powerful.
Really powerful.
Absolutely.
So here's the little story in that context with Izzy. So Izzy came to me and he actually reminded me, he says, no, it was earlier, bro. I thought it was 2016. He goes, no, it's 2015. And he had lost a couple of fights in the one fight. And I think it was his coach. And at the time he said, you go and see Niethe. And he's talking, and he has a certain physiology. And as we're sort of having a chat, I'm always observing physiology because there's little markers. And for some reason, I talked about the things he's passionate about, the things he enjoys when he's not fighting. And he started talking about fucking Stylebender. Now, mate, I'm not into that shit. And I got no fucking idea what the fucking Stylebender is, right? But there's a change in his eyes and his physiology. And he starts getting animated. That is the birth of the Stylebender.
Wow. And
we expanded on that. And so Izzy, at that period of time, would go into the venue, park the car, and walk into the venue as Israel Adesanya. But when he came out of that changing room into the ring, he was Stylebender. Now, think about this. This is something that I utilize in my powerlifting and strongman days. And I didn't really perhaps fully realize what I was doing. It seemed natural to me. I never was ever taught it. It just, I don't know, it made sense. But in my office, I have 2 statues of a bull. So when I was doing strongman, I was never David Niethe. I was a 10,000 kg raging fucking bull, but I'm in control of it. Now, which one would you rather fucking, because I became more than all the parts. That was the reflection of the Übermensch. I became more than all my parts. Mm-hmm. For Israel, he became more than all his parts. He was devastating.
Wow.
Absolutely. Oh, mate, he was unbelievable.
Welcome to the Martin Show first ad break. For anyone who is wanting to go on a new journey, learn a new skill, we have started our basic beginners boxing fundamentals course. For anyone, if it's your first time, if you're a seasoned member, this is the course for you in the boxing space or fitness space. Click the link below or go to onlineboxingtraining.com and I'll see you guys there. Let's get some mahi, eh?
Here's another little story I had. I tend to sometimes get the phone call on the 11th hour on the 11th day going, fuck, do something. I've got coach is going, I've got this fucking, do something. Miracle, please. Yeah. I remember one of my girls is a weightlifter and she was at the Commonwealth Games and the coach phoned me, he goes, fuck, Dave, have a word to her, mate, because, oh my God, at this point, she's not even going to qualify. And so I worked with her and we talked about, she was, her history was back in South Africa. And so she altered herself into this lioness because she had fond memories of being in awe of the lion, right? Somewhere back in her history, there was something there. Anyway, she deployed this and she ended up, Tracy Lambert, she ended up getting bronze medal at the Commonwealth Games. And she didn't even expect to fucking qualify. So there's so many stories of becoming more than our parts, to act as if, people say to me, what do I do if I'm not confident? I said, well, act as if you are confident. Mm. What's the first thing you tend to do is, well, I'm just going to, does it guarantee? No, but it certainly improves possibility and probability. Mm. Better than surrendering to the state, eh?
Telling the brain something different.
Fuck yeah, man. So like I said, you get to a point where it's like you get to command. Mm. And when you command, it's...
You're in the driving seat.
Oh, bro. And now that can be scary because you have to take absolute responsibility. But that is where the richness of life lies. Mm. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Where fear lies, there lies your task. Fucking attack it. Mm. I've told the story, and I really love this. I saw it from a thing on Instagram, but it's the story of the buffalo and the cow. You ever heard that story?
Not that.
It's fucking beautiful.
I don't think that one's in the book.
So on the plains, I think it's Montana or Utah. I can't remember. But you can see for miles, and the buffalo and the cow graze. Mm. But because you can see for miles, you can see the storm coming, the black clouds, the thunder, the lightning. And the cow looks up and sees it coming and turns around and starts running. The buffalo looks up and sees the storm coming and turns towards the storm and starts running towards the storm. Here's the interesting thing. Who spends more time in the storm?
The cow.
Cow can't outrun the storm. Mm. Even though everything in its essence says avoid, move away from. On the other side of fear is a better version of you. Wow. Where fear lies, there lies your task.
Because we do, we move away from pain.
This is a world today where we medicate, we wrap. People are so easily offended. I fucking harden the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's pathetic.
Yeah, because we mentioned pain earlier on, and we also mentioned direction and moving towards something.
Yeah.
And we operate, people are either running away from something or they're running towards something, right? Or they're in between.
I talk about this in the motivational directional filtering system. So one of the most powerful of all motivations is away. So most people will do anything to move away from pain, right? The reality is, in this country, this has got to be the greatest country in the world, mate. New Zealand, fuck, this is the greatest country in the world, as far as I'm concerned. We aren't at war because to move away, generally it's something extreme, right? In all honesty, we have a pretty good place here in New Zealand to live. We're not at war, right? And I'm not saying war's the only thing, but it's one of the most significant things as a motivator to move away from. Then the next is moving towards something. That's kind of where I sit. It's the becoming. It's moving towards. But the most shocking place to be is in the middle, and that's comfortable. And most people are motivated by comfort, to exist, to settle for, to make do, to avoid any pain, to avoid any challenge. That's the saddest fucking place to live. Fuck being comfortable. Now, there is a certain level of, I get it in the contents of, you don't want to be in a constant level of stress because financially I'm talking about setting yourself up in such a way that you don't become complacent or lazy. You know, things like looking after your body, your health, your education, your continuation of that ultimate actualization needs to be committed to.
Again, hey, taking responsibility.
Fucking A, man.
Dave, we do have some fire-off questions, but what's the greatest advice, the best advice you've ever received?
I would say one of the most important lessons that I would ever apply was Jim Rohn's 3 steps to greatness. Number 1, set goals. 2, educate yourself. 3, have a financial plan. That's sort of a real foundational philosophy that I've applied. So am I setting goals? Absolutely. Am I educating myself? Absolutely. And when I say education, I don't necessarily mean a PhD in philosophy. Put it into this sort of contents. Let's just say you're a chef in a restaurant, and we talk about education. I don't want you to be a chef. I want you to be the chef. If you're a plumber, I don't want you to be a plumber. I want you to be the plumber. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because there's something about mastering something, your craft, whatever that is. It could be art, it could be teaching.
Yeah. Speaking of craft, coaching is your craft.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
No, and it's easy.
I know.
None of this is hard, right? But having said that, I do challenge people.
For sure.
For a lot of people, when I set up the sessions, I'm not saying that I'm fucking go at you every time, but I do make it clear that if you're going to work with me, I ask, do you give me permission to be blunt and honest? Because I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. My first coach, Clive, that guy would hold me to account. He was so fucking hard on me, but that's because he loved me.
Yeah, wow.
Do you know what I mean? He wanted the best for me. And so he's going to challenge everything. He was never fully satisfied with anything that I did, and I get it. I love them for that because he has helped me become the person that I am today. There's a number of different people that have influenced that, your identity, and it's made up of so many different things. Yeah. But there's some really crucial, wonderful people in my life that have been instrumental in my journey.
Yeah, and I feel like the coaching industry is kind of booming. There's a lot of online coaches that are coming out. And you mentioned honesty. What else do you think makes a good coach?
Mate, I'm anal about being congruent because a lot of these fucking coaches, they're incongruent. I've been in this industry, before it was even an industry. I've seen fuckers come and go. I've seen people look at this and go, oh, fuck yeah, you get to charge lots of money. You make a good life. Fuck, that's the wrong reason to get involved. That is a byproduct of fucking hard work, man. I have worked my ass off continuously for 30 years to justify where I'm at with my pricing. If you think because you've done one fucking course that you're going to come in and tell people how to suck fucking eggs, you fucking better have a good look at yourself, because I have no problems in calling motherfuckers out because I've been through that shit. I've been in the trenches. And that's the difference, I think.
What do you think you need to work on as a coach?
Trust the process that I'm already on, mate.
Trusting the process.
I'm on a continuation. Listen, I can tell you, I've had scenarios where, and one in particular comes to mind, of a young man that came and saw me, and he said, I've been working with a individual psychologist for the last 2 years. Now, I want to make something very clear. I'm not bagging psychologists. This is in the contents of this story, okay? And for some reason, someone mentioned my name, and so he came and sat down. And we're 6 minutes into it, and he jumps up and he goes, fuck me, man. And I'm going, oh, fuck. You know what? 6 fucking minutes and you've already sussed some shit that I've been fucking trying to sort out for fucking 6 fucking minutes. Now, the analogy I use is the king had some plumbing problems, and he'd get all the guys to come and they'd fucking try and fix it. No one could. And he reluctantly, there was one man he knew that possibly could do it, but he was fucking expensive. But he's desperate now, so he gets this old fucker to come along, a plumber, and he looks at it and pulls out a hammer, taps on it, and the whole system's working properly. Then he gets the invoice, and it goes, tap on pipe, $7. Knowing where to tap, $10,000. And that's just for me, the craft of coaching is knowing where to tap. And that's what you pay for. Because I'll tap on something deep that can stimulate some investigation and curiosity for change. That's the craft. That's the shit. I am so competitive. Like when you come in, I want to make you leave like, fuck, I am the fucking man.
Yeah.
That's the buzz that I get.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I can resonate.
Fuck it. When I get parents going, oh my God, I can't believe what happened to young Jimmy's changed. Fucking A, he has. That's the fucking kick.
And that's what fuels you as well.
Oh, fuck yeah. I hate losing, mate.
Yeah. What's the worst advice you've ever received?
Wouldn't say worst advice, but I would certainly say comments of people that rob you of your potential. Like I said, that corridor conversation. You're deluded, Dave. You only just managed to pass your apprenticeship. Now, those motherfuckers, you use that comment, you reframe it, you prove them fucking wrong.
Dave, who do you know that I should know?
Jim Rohn. Aristotle. Nietzsche. All the great philosophers, mate. I'll tell you, the richness in philosophy, it should be mandatory to be teaching some of this stuff in schools. The Stoics.
Future? 5-10 years? Where would you like to see yourself?
I will be on a beachfront with my wife. The image immediately I have is coming back from the walk on the beach with the dogs. And as I step into the house, the smell of fresh brewed coffee. with the excitement knowing that my grandchildren are coming today to stay with us.
Living a life by design, eh?
That's it, bro.
Wow. Where fear lies, there's your task.
Yep.
What scares you now?
Nothing really. No, I don't. I mean, someone said to me, you know, if you fear death, if I died tomorrow, I'm very happy. I can reflect back and go, yeah, I know I'm going to be remembered. I'm going to have my little mark on this world. In my little way, I've done my little bit, and I'm proud of that. And so I'm happy to go. I'm not afraid of dying. I want to die obviously in an appropriate way. I don't want to be fucking, you know, something horrific.
Still
Fuck's
56
sake.
too.
Yeah,
So
for
maybe
sake.
another, 20, 30 years. Come on.
And I've got another 30 years. Think about this. How old are you now?
26.
Okay, so you're not even 30, right? So let's just assume that I have another 30 years. Look how much you've done in 30 years. That, you know, think that's a fucking lot of time, eh? Now, imagine if you were even more consciously aware and had the ability to make even better decisions because you had the freedom to do so. Fuck, how much more could you do in 30 years?
Wow.
Oh, my God, there's so much to be done.
Oh, my God. I think about this every day.
Fuck, bro. It's like I'm going to my big OE, and then from there, I've got some ideas. I will be going on and doing a master's. Then, I'll be keen on doing a doctorate.
Wow.
Dr. Dave.
Look at that.
Dr. Dave's in the house. So watch out, Dr. Phil.
There's
a Kiwi boy coming.
I'm coming.
But I mean, but that's, that's the excitement. There's so much to do, bro.
Wow. Dave, my final question, and I know you'll be the type of man that will say, I wouldn't change a thing. I needed to go through all those things, overcome.
Yep.
But if you could have a conversation with younger Dave, what would you want to tell him?
Oh, you're brilliant, mate. You're on track, son. You just keep on path. You're right. You just answered the own question, mate. You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Mate, every one of those ugly experiences, every one of those wonderful experiences is an indicator of being on track. Bring it on.
Wow. David Niethe.
Pleasure, brother.
Thank you for being here, brother. There's so many great takeaways, and I think a lot of it is the overcoming to then become is a standout for me.
Yeah, honestly, mate, Heraclitus said, you can never step in the same river twice. It's forever flowing.
Ooh.
It's the becoming. So, for all of us, ask yourself, what is it that I truly want? And like I said, there's no guarantees, but start the path. Take a step.
What do I want?
Go for it, motherfucker. You got nothing to lose.
Dave, we have a closing tradition on this podcast where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who they are.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I love that. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you. The question for you today, brother, is, I think this is sort of written for you. We had to speak your mind on this. What makes you confident?
The combination of choices, behavior that I've made collectively over the last 56 years.
Choices and behavior.
Yeah. Remember, the bottom line is this. We behave our way to success. We don't think it. Thinking's a part of it, But ultimately, action is the true measure of intelligence. So I think for me, I've done it because I've experienced it, because I've done it, I've behaved it. I've been on that stage sweating like fuck, didn't want to do it and did it. You know what I mean? I've been under, that 340 kg squat going, I hope my knees don't pop out from underneath me. It's scary as fuck, but I did it. I've pulled trucks. I've had horrific injuries. I mean, my body's beaten up now, man. I've had hip replacements and surgeries. I've broken bones.
Giving yourself the evidence, eh?
Oh, mate, the scars, that's a roadmap to success, bro.
David Niethe. Where can the people find you, brother?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't really promote, mate. So I would say if you truly wanted me, you'll find me.
If you truly want to find him, you can also find this at your local bookstore. I got it from Paper Plus. The Winning Mindset. A lot of the stuff we spoke about today is involved in this and more. I believe it probably has and will continue to change people's lives.
Yeah, man.
Which is your mission.
Fucking
if you don't want to spit out where people can find you, we're going to drop it anyway. Because I know you got you on Instagram. But that concludes us, team. Another episode of The Martin Show done and dusted. We will drop Big Dave's underscores somewhere. We'll make sure you subscribe here and we'll drop underscore The Martin Show right here. And we're going to be back next week for another episode. Aroha, mana. Let's go. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.